Hello and welcome to my video. This is Sim with the Digital Shoebox, and I've got in front of me our new application for December 2025 called SlideSnap Studio. It is a one-stop shop for post-processing your camera scanned slides and negatives. And I'm going to demonstrate for you basically the entire application, including basic functionality. And yeah, so let's get started. So we have built SlideSnap Studio. Have a pretty familiar user interface. So we have our main preview window here. We've got a little bit of a toolbar here with a couple options for importing images and clearing your session and exporting. On the right, we've got a control panel or an operations panel for making adjustments to the selected image or images. And on the bottom, we've got our not a timeline, but a film strip, essentially, showing all the images that are currently loaded in the session. SlideSnap Studio is a non-destructive application, meaning that any changes you make in the application are not cumulative, and they are not written to disk until you export. So I could rotate this image 500 times. It's not going to have any impact on the image quality. Same thing with anything I do with these sliders here. It will just allow you to just keep going back and forth. You've got undo, redo, etc. We work in sessions. So this session will be saved when we quit the application. We come back, everything will still be right where we left it until we clear the images from this session. So you can work as long as you want, start up, pick up where you left off tomorrow. It is optimized for speed, so there is caching going on behind the scenes. Navigating through images is intended to be quick. All the operations are intended to be quick, and the focus really is on batch operations and utilizing the performance of your processor and your system as much as possible. So it's very lightweight. Again, part of the architecture requires that we include only what's necessary, and ideally nothing that's really not for post-processing in this particular application. So it is also cross-platform, so Windows and Mac users rejoice. So to add images, you can either just import them by hitting the plus sign here and choosing them from your folder. From a folder, you can drag and drop them into this window here, or you can choose a hot folder, which is kind of the preferred method if you're using a SlideSnap, because then you can have a tethering application running that is dropping the images into a folder, and then as soon as they are detected, they will be imported and potentially even auto-processed, which we'll get into in a second. Let's see. So let's get into that. So as you add images, let's say you do have a hot folder selected, this auto process feature allows you to have certain parameters automatically applied to the images as they come in. So for negatives, that's great because then you don't have to sit here and manually click the buttons in order to be able to see what the image looks like. So it'll automatically convert the negative as it comes in, without you needing to do any cropping or anything to see what it's going to look like. So let's see here. So let me pull up a thing. Okay, so I've got about 20 something images loaded in here, mixed batch. The first half are slides, the second half are negatives. Let's just jump through just to show you kind of what we're dealing with in terms of the slides. So I've got 14 slides. I'm going to go ahead and select all by holding down the Shift key and selecting the beginning and end. And then I'm just going to go ahead and hit the C key, which is going to trigger our auto crop. And you'll see the orange dots start to populate throughout to show that the crop, which you can see here is orange, is correlated here or is associated with this feature, is now applied to each of them. So let's go ahead and just see how good it did. You can see the orange crop rectangle has been applied to all of them, and it's done a fantastic job. So to see that crop rectangle actually applied, we can jump between a couple different view modes here. So hitting the space bar will toggle, as you can see here on the top left, the final and the work modes for viewing. So that applies the crop. We can jump through, and I'm jumping through quickly with the right click key. You can also use the arrow keys, or you can obviously jump down here and click manually on each image. But I like to use the right click button on my mouse and shift right click to go backwards. That allows me to keep both of my hands on the one on the keyboard and one on the mouse, so I can stay efficient. So I'll hit spacebar again to jump back to our work view. There's also another view, which I'll get into in a second here. But first what I'm going to do is, just for this one image, I'm going to turn on Smart Tone. And what that's going to do is that's going to improve contrast, and it's going to stretch out our histogram here so that all of the full latitude is taking advantage of. For faded slides where color's faded, it'll have an impact on them. I'm just going to show you one at a time what that does. Some of them, on some images, will have a bigger impact than others. So there we go, I've enabled that. So we'll go back to this image here, and I'll just show you the before and after. So before and after is toggled with the Y key. You just press and hold it, and it'll show you the original and the work copy. We can zoom in on a particular image. We got a nice little loop tool. If you hold the Z key, it'll load a full crop view of the image. And as you can see here, this image has got a fair amount of dust in it, especially up in the sky here. So this is a good time to demonstrate our dust and scratch removal feature, which is down here, remove dust, which is also correlated with the key G. I'm going to hit G, and you'll notice almost instantly the dust has been removed. That's how quickly it runs, which may be surprised to you because other dust and scratch removal tools can take upwards of a minute or two per image, but it just processed the entire image just that quickly. So you can toggle that with G here, G on and off. We can get a little warning up here saying that there are limitations to the dust and scratch removal tool. It will remove fine particles, but it might also remove fine details like text or power lines. So please use it carefully. Keep an eye on the images. And potentially export a second copy of the image, the dusted version and the non-dusted version, if you want to be able to recover it at a later date. Let's see here. Our crop rectangle here, if it needs any adjustment, we got a couple options. We can hold down the shift key and then use the arrows to move it left or right. While holding the shift key, use the plus and minus keys to shrink it and grow it. We can hold shift and just drag it around. We can reach towards the corners and we can adjust it like so. Let's say we want to draw a crop from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one by hitting X. That'll remove all cropping. And I'll hold the command key and just draw the rectangle. And now that's freehand. It'll let me draw it any shape I want. But if I want to lock it into a common aspect ratio for film, I'm going to hold the shift key at the same time. And you'll see in the top left there it says aspect 3:2. And as I change that, I can go jump from 1 to 1, 4 to 3, 3 to 2 in either orientation. So I'm going to go ahead and let go. And spacebar jumps between final and work. And these keyboard shortcuts are crucial for you to get a nice rhythm with your editing. Hold down the K key, as you can see in the top right here. It says hold K to reveal keyboard shortcuts. If you hold down K, little pop-ups will appear all over the place that will reveal all of the relevant shortcuts. So you can jump negative mode, smart tone, black and white, etc. You can adjust the exposure with the plus and minus keys, etc. So another common thing you're going to want to do with images is adjust the white balance. So in this image, for example, let's go ahead and just try to see what auto white balance looks like. And that's going to be the key A. And it was an improvement, but we might be able to push that a little bit further. It kind of, our auto white balance leans towards kind of the warmer end of the spectrum typically. But if you want to go custom, you can hit the letter U. That'll pull up an eyedropper tool, click somewhere. And click somewhere that should, a detail that should be neutral gray. And that'll take care of that. Let's go ahead and do dust removal on this one as well. Another feature I'd like to show you here, this may not be a great image to demonstrate, but we can make it a greater image to demonstrate it. If you scan with the camera at a little bit of a tilt, we've got an auto deskew tool here. Go ahead and hit this, and boom, it'll reset it back to what it should look like. It'll rotate it just like that. You can also manually do that like I was doing here with this grid view. And let's see, let's jump back. And it does help that you have the image already kind of, the crop rectangle drawn roughly where it needs to be, because it'll kind of use that when it determines what the deskew should be. It'll kind of look near the crop rectangle for that. We can copy a crop to other images by holding down Command C and then going to another image that doesn't have a crop and holding down V. Now, this image was taken at a different time, so the crop looks different. But as you see, if I just hit V, it'll apply it in the same position at the same size as where it was copied from. If you hold down V, it'll give you a chance to reposition it before letting go and actually applying it. So that, more or less, well, and the other thing I'll just show you real quick, like flipping and rotating images real quick. We got Q and W as shortcuts for that. So for images that call for it, just one quick key, we can jump a view here if we want, and that's it. So all these are processed. Let's go on to our negatives. Actually, one more thing. I'm going to select all these. I'm just going to do auto white balance because I do trust our auto white balance to do a good job on your average image. Okay, now we're on to the negatives. So 15 through 26, let's go ahead and select all of those and just choose negative. You could hit the S key, but I'm just going to hit the button. And just like that, you see how quickly those inverted? And you know what, while we're at it, let's do the auto crop as well. And again, watch as the indicators pile up there. Do our rotations. And We are almost done. Okay, there we go. So we just converted all these negatives. And again, we could take a look at how good of a job the auto crop does. It doesn't do as great of a job on all negatives, especially if there's a lot of like registration and perforations visible in frame. So it helps if you crop the camera close enough that there's not all that to distract the auto crop algorithm. You see these were framed pretty tightly. The sprockets aren't really noticeable in a lot of them, but it is optimized to try to bypass the sprockets. But it really depends. So negatives are a little bit trickier to get cropped automatically, but using the manual tools like I showed you, just manually drawing the crop, holding down Shift to lock in that aspect ratio, Command C, and then V, holding down V to apply it. So you can quickly apply the exact same cut to a bunch of images if you need to. Let's see, what else do we got here? Dust removal, we covered that. Fast, cropping, etc. Shrink plate. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. I can show you quickly what the export panel looks like. Select as many images you want to export. Go ahead and hit the export button, and you get a lot of options here. I won't go into them; they're all pretty much self-explanatory. But it gives you a lot of options. The SlideSnap Studio does accept TIFFs, so if you're shooting RAW, you need to convert your RAW images to TIFFs first in order to work on them, and you can also export as TIFFs, compressed or uncompressed, 8-bit or 16-bit. And that about does it. I hope that was helpful and illustrative, and I hope that you find SlideSnap Studio is a indispensable part of your workflow. And it's December 2025. We're just getting started. This is the first release, really. And from here, we welcome your feedback. So if you got any features that you'd like to see implemented, we'll definitely take that feedback into consideration. But we definitely also like to hear any bug reports or issues you might be having in that respect. But as for now, that is all. I'll be signing off. This is Sim with the Digital Shoebox and SlideSnap Studio. Thanks for watching. Bye.